I'm Eva Pilgrim. Thanks for streaming with us. Incredibly graphic testimony today in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. And we have to warn you, some of what you hear.
You ever been in a room so still you could hear hearts stop? That's what went down when Jamie Foxx grabbed the mic in Atlanta for his new Netflix special. The whole place froze like someone had just dropped a truth bomb no one was brave enough to say out loud. See, everyone knew Jamie had been through some wild stuff last year. That mysterious hospital stay, those cryptic posts online, and the way he just vanished from the spotlight like he'd seen something too real to talk about. People were guessing, whispering, making theories, but nobody expected what came next. Jamie didn't just come back to clear the air about his health. Oh no, he came swinging. He didn't just talk, he named names. And not just any name either. He said the name that's been echoing through Hollywood's darkest backrooms for years. The name sitting heavy under headlines and legal trouble right now. Sean Diddy Combs. And that's when things got real. Witnesses in the crowd said you could literally feel the tension snap. Some people froze, others gasped, and a few even looked around like they were waiting for the lights to cut out. According to people who were there, one person said they saw choke. It was that serious. The kind of moment you can't script and no one dares to forget. No cap, this was real. A well-known producer who went to 2 of the 3 tapings said it straight up. And even big homie CC, a celebrity bodyguard who swears he was there protecting a client, backed it. Jamie Foxx didn't just hint at Diddy being part of whatever went down last April. He went right for it. No jokes, no clever wordplay, no coded messages. He locked eyes with the crowd, his voice calm but deadly serious, and said it clear as day. He told everyone Diddy was responsible for what happened to him. The room went ice cold. You could feel people holding their breath, waiting to see if he was actually going to say it, and then he dropped another bomb that blew the roof off. I'm the one who called the FBI on him. That line hit like a gunshot. Every publicist in LA probably had a meltdown at that moment. If that's true, and let's keep it real, Jamie's team isn't confirming anything. Diddy's people are reportedly furious, and Netflix, silent, like dead silent. This isn't just Hollywood beef anymore. It's a whole new level of chaos. We're talking about a man who might have survived something serious involving one of the most powerful names in the music world, and then turned around and allegedly made sure that same man ended up in handcuffs. And here's where it gets even wilder. The timing. Diddy gets arrested in September. His home's raided, his name dragged through federal indictments. All after years of rumors, lawsuits, and that infamous Cassie Ventura video that no amount of PR magic could clean up. Then, like the timing was scripted, Jamie Foxx, who'd been completely off the radar, missing for weeks after that mysterious health scare, suddenly pops back up, not just cracking jokes online or posting a vague "thank you for the prayers" message, but sitting courtside at a Dallas Cowboys game, grinning next to Jerry Jones like a man who'd been set free. The look on his face said everything. Something big had shifted and Jamie wasn't hiding anymore. Now picture this, Jamie Foxx standing under the bright Netflix lights, and he's not just cracking jokes, he's dropping bombs. Word is, he told the crowd that Diddy didn't just betray him, he poisoned him. That's right, poisoned. No metaphor, no hidden meaning. Straight up accusation. If that's even halfway true, then this isn't about ego or revenge anymore. This is survival on the line. And if Jamie's telling the truth, then every single person who's ever been part of Diddy's circle has got to be sweating bullets right now. Because if the FBI really came knocking based on Jamie's word, you gotta wonder, who's next? But here's where the whole story flips from shocking to flat out chilling. Jamie didn't stop at accusing Diddy of hurting him. Oh no, he went deeper. Witnesses from the audience say he started naming names, and not random background folks or nameless staff. He was calling out real Hollywood players, the kind of names that make timelines explode and PR teams go into lockdown mode. We're talking about people who've spent years keeping their distance from Diddy's chaos, just close enough to benefit, but far enough to avoid the smoke. The kind of names that have lawyers on speed dial and never show up anywhere unless there's a camera flashing. But if what insiders say about Jamie's special is true, that he actually points fingers, then we're about to see the truth peel back layer by layer. Because once those names come out, the question becomes, who really knew what was happening behind those velvet ropes, in those penthouse suites, at those so-called exclusive parties everyone whispered about, the ones they called freak-offs? The truth might be uglier than anyone wants to admit. People staying silent, chasing fame, protecting their spots on Diddy's good side while pretending not to see what was really going on. And then Jamie turned the heat up even more, starting with the most obvious name, Usher. Yeah, that Usher. We all know their history, the old photos, the studio sessions. the longtime friendship that's been public for decades. But here's the wild part. During Diddy's trial, Dawn Richard from Danity Kane testified under oath that she saw Usher there herself.
Now we've done 3 others where we've laid out the prosecution case. This time, we're talking specifically, what is Diddy's defense? And we decided to test it with a mock jury, and it is fascinating.
It is absolutely fascinating, keeping in mind that the real jury will be sitting down to do this. The trial starts first.
The crowd couldn't believe it. Jaws dropped, whispers everywhere. It was like watching the curtain finally get pulled back on a secret Hollywood never wanted out. When Diddy allegedly laid hands on Cassie Ventura so brutally that she ran out of a restaurant in tears, the story shook people. But what hit even harder was what didn't happen that night. According to Cassie, nobody stepped in. Not Usher, not Neo, who was there too. Nobody. The silence in that moment spoke louder than anything, and it still echoes today. Now, to be fair, Usher's never been charged with a thing, and his camp has kept things tight-lipped ever since. But here's the deal. If Jamie's Netflix special drags that moment back into the spotlight, forcing the world to face it again, then it could change everything. Imagine the world realizing that some of music's biggest names allegedly stood by and said nothing while it all went down. What happens then? Does Usher still get to shine under those Vegas lights, holding on to that big residency? Does Neo keep playing the just a lover boy songwriter role? Or do they both get pulled right into a story too messy to escape? And just when you think it couldn't get any more tangled, enter Britney Spears. Yeah, Britney's name came up during the trial too. Almost like a throwaway comment. Cassie mentioned her 21st birthday, saying Diddy brought Britney along like she was just another guest, like some kind of accessory to his lifestyle. But hold up, this wasn't just any time in Britney's life. This was during the chaos, when she was trapped under that conservatorship that controlled everything she did, from where she went to who she spoke to. And Diddy, a man known for control, for allegedly bending people's wills to fit his world, chose to bring her into that circle? You have to ask yourself, why? What did Britney see? What did she have to see? And why has nobody ever pressed her about it? Because if Jamie's special starts connecting those dots, showing how many women were pulled into Diddy's orbit and then tossed aside when they stopped playing along, it's going to crack Hollywood's mask wide open. And if that's the case, Britney's memoir might not be finished after all. It might just need a second edition. But the name that might hit the hardest? Kid Cudi. Because his story isn't just about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's about surviving something straight out of a nightmare. Everyone remembers those headlines. His car exploding in his own driveway after he dared to date Cassie Ventura. Yeah, that happened. The threats that came after. The whispers about Diddy's crew allegedly breaking into his house, locking his dog in a bathroom, tearing through his Christmas gifts like they were sending a warning. It all sounded like a movie, but this was real life, and Kid Cudi didn't stay quiet. He took the stand. He testified, told the court exactly what went down, every detail. You could feel the fear in his voice, but also the strength, like he'd had enough of being silent. That's why when Jamie Foxx, who until now hadn't been publicly tied to this whole Diddy mess, steps up and starts saying he was targeted too, it changes everything. It flips the story from rumor to revelation. Because suddenly, it's not just Kid Cudi's story, it's part of a pattern. And people in both LA and New York are whispering right now, trying to piece it all together. The industry's shaking, because Jamie isn't just some random person making noise online. He's an Oscar winner, a man with power, respect, and receipts. And if he's finally ready to talk, then the game's about to change. For real, Jamie Foxx isn't just another celebrity speaking out. He's a man who's been part of this industry for decades. He's seen it all, lived through it all, and as people like to say, he knows where the bodies are buried. Maybe not always literally, but close enough to make people nervous. So when someone like him steps up, ready to risk his reputation, his career, and everything he's built to say that Diddy didn't just cross a line with him, but with dozens of others, that hits different. It shakes the whole foundation of Hollywood. Because if Jamie's really exposing what went down, then what does that say about everyone who stayed quiet? The ones who looked the other way, who took the cash, the invites, the luxury, and the fame, just to keep their spot at Diddy's table? The ones who went to the infamous white parties, the secret after parties, the events where allegedly no rules applied. What happens now to the Jay-Z's and Beyoncés, the Leonardo DiCaprios, the Kim Kardashians?
He said in the special that, I was hospitalized by this person. And mind you, him and Diddy have had a business falling out. They said they had a beef. So the choke, no choke was a videographer. And he was like, yo, I was there. He said Diddy was responsible for what happened to him and that he's the one that called the FBI. And Choke added, I don't think he was joking.
All those smiling faces we've seen standing next to Diddy for years, acting like everything was perfect, if even half of what's being said turns out to be true, then those pictures start to look a whole lot different. It's the kind of connection nobody wants to explain when the spotlight flips back on them. And speaking of that, let's talk about the trial, because here's where things got wild. The jury heard everything. The parties, the substances, the so-called freak-offs, the way Diddy allegedly turned his empire into a machine built to serve his own twisted desires. They saw the evidence, heard about the videos, the intimidation, and the hush money supposedly used to keep people quiet. And even after all that, they couldn't land the big one, the RICO charge, the one that could have locked Diddy up for life. But don't get it twisted. They did convict him on 2 serious counts. Transporting women across state lines for paid services. That means the jury believed, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Diddy wasn't just playing around. He was running something dark, something organized, something that didn't happen without help. The verdict didn't end the story. It only cracked the door open wider. And now Hollywood's bracing for whatever comes spilling out next. And if all that's true, then you gotta ask, who was helping him? Who was signing the checks, keeping the secrets, sitting in those rooms when the real decisions went down? Because here's what people forget about trials. They're never just about the one person in the spotlight. They're about everyone else in the shadows. The ones who never got subpoenaed, never testified, never had to answer for what they knew. And that's the part that makes it so eerie. This wasn't new. This was a system that had been running smooth for years, where power protected power and silence was bought with luxury and fear. That's why Jamie's Netflix special isn't just a tell-all. It's starting to look like a reckoning. If he's really naming names, saying you were there, you saw it, you let it happen, then this goes way beyond Diddy. It's about an entire culture, a machine that let powerful men allegedly do whatever they wanted because the people around them were too scared, too loyal, or too greedy to say enough. And if that system is finally cracking open, then the question isn't just what Diddy did, it's who helped him do it. Who cashed the checks? Who kept quiet? Who smiled in the photos and acted like everything was fine while the chaos unfolded behind the scenes? And more importantly, who's about to start talking? Because once one person speaks, the whole house of cards could fall. Now let's talk about timing. Jamie didn't just wake up one morning and decide to do this special. No way. He waited. He chose this moment. After Diddy's arrest, after the trial, after the sentencing, after the world had already started chasing the next scandal. So why now? Why risk his peace, his deals, his comeback, everything? Unless, and this is the part that's got people buzzing, unless Jamie isn't just telling his story. Maybe he's setting the stage for something bigger. Because let's not forget, Diddy's appeal is still pending. And if Jamie really does have more to say, more evidence, or more names, then this might not just be entertainment, it could be the calm before the storm. The civil lawsuits keep stacking up. Every week, it feels like there's a new filing, a new name, a new piece of the puzzle falling into place. And if Jamie's claims turn out to be real, if he really did go to the FBI, if he really has receipts, then this isn't the finale, it's the sequel. The next chapter where the people who thought they were untouchable start realizing the spotlight's turning straight back on them. The dominoes haven't just started to wobble, they're about to fall. And that's exactly what's got Hollywood insiders losing sleep. Because if Jamie's telling the truth, then this isn't about one man's grudge. It's about the whole wall cracking open. When a dam breaks, it doesn't just take out the person who built it, it sweeps away everyone who helped keep it standing. Every assistant, every manager, every name that looked the other way to protect their paycheck. So here's what everyone's watching for. First, the special itself. December 10th is the drop date, and all eyes are on Netflix to see how deep Jamie's willing to go. Will he really start naming names on camera? Is he going to flash screenshots, emails, texts, the kind of proof that makes people go ghost overnight? Or is this just a setup, the quiet before the real explosion hits later? Second, the reactions. Because you already know what's coming the minute that special airs. Lawyers will be typing up cease and desist letters like wildfire. PR teams will scramble into damage control mode, pushing out statements before the headlines even land. And the ones who've been silent, they'll have a choice to make. Do they keep pretending they don't know anything? Or do they start talking before someone else talks for them? And third, the big one. The FBI. Because if Jamie really did hand them evidence, if there's any truth to his claims,
I'm just saying I wouldn't put it past somebody like Diddy, who we know the track record from his allegedly having people shot, baby oil that had freaking in it, to all the crazy stuff that's going on. This is the least of my thing. If you have a beef with somebody and then poisoning them,
then this is no longer just a celebrity scandal. It's an active investigation. That means more raids, more subpoenas, more names dropping into headlines that'll have people's phones blowing up all night. And that's where we're standing right now, on the edge of something massive. Because Jamie Foxx didn't just come back to tell his side of the story. He might have just kicked off the next chapter of one of Hollywood's darkest sagas. The kind of chapter that no one saw coming. But everyone's about to feel Jamie didn't just decide to tell a story. He decided to tell the story. The one that connects every rumor, every whisper, every late-night secret that's been floating around for years. The story that turns quiet talk into straight-up accusations, forcing everyone to face the real question. How many people knew? How many saw it, stayed silent? And how many are about to get caught right in the crossfire? Because this isn't just another Hollywood scandal. Not even close. What makes this one hit harder is that Jamie Foxx isn't some random celebrity chasing clout. He's a man who, by all accounts, almost didn't make it out alive. He spent weeks in the hospital, vanished from the spotlight, and still hasn't said exactly what went down. For months, he's been dropping cryptic hints that something wasn't right. And if what he's saying now is real, if Diddy really did try to silence him permanently, then this stopped being about payback a long time ago. This is about survival, about making sure the next person who gets caught up in that same world has a way to fight back, a way out. And if that means blowing up the whole system, the fame, the fake smiles, the silence, then maybe that's exactly what Jamie's here to do. Maybe that's the point. So yeah, buckle up, because December 10th isn't just the release date for a Netflix special anymore. It's Judgment Day, the day we finally see just how deep this whole thing goes. And the truth, nobody's ready for what's coming next, because here's the twist people keep forgetting. This might not even be about what Diddy did. The real scandal could be about what everyone else let him get away with. All the times people saw something, heard something, or knew something, and chose to keep quiet instead. The photos, the parties, the private jets, the exclusive events that always had the same faces in the background. We've all heard the whispers, the same names circling through lawsuits, only to vanish just as fast when the dust settles. California's got files going back years. One source even claims there's evidence tracing back to 2009. So if Jamie's really pulling the curtain back now, then Hollywood's about to face the one story it can't hide from anymore. The one where silence finally stops being an option. But here's where it gets real. Terrence Howard didn't just drop vague hints or play around with Hollywood code words. He came out and said it. No metaphors, no sugarcoating. He sat down in an interview and laid everything bare. When he talked about the man card, about what happens when you give up something you can't ever get back, he wasn't just talking about his own struggle. He was talking about the whole industry. He painted a picture that was hard to unsee, a world where you walk into a party, witness things no person should ever have to see, and still flash a smile for the cameras like everything's all good. An industry where the real price of fame isn't just silence, it's your soul. Because once you've crossed that line, there's no coming back. And Terrence made it sound like a lot of people already have. Now let's get into the names we haven't been hearing enough about. Because while Diddy's trial shined a brutal spotlight on Cassie Ventura and the women brave enough to speak out, the men, the ones who were there, who saw, who maybe even joined in, have faced zero consequences. They've been hiding in plain sight, protected by power, connections, and perfectly timed distractions. Take Leonardo DiCaprio, for example. His name popped up in court, not because he was accused of anything directly, but because a text message from Diddy's former assistant casually mentioned him.
Well, what I feel about the documentary, they left a whole lot of key things out. If they was going to do something and they're going to say in the reckoning of Sean Combs, the reckoning, or Diddy, the reckoning and stuff like that, it should have been a lot of people that we lost because of him, you know?
She said he grabbed her sparkly, bedazzled phone during a high-stakes gambling session. A tiny detail that probably sounded harmless at first, until you remember what else that same assistant testified about. She told the court about the assaults, the substances, the threats, and the pressure she was allegedly under to help arrange those infamous freak-offs Diddy was known for. So when her messages drop a name like DiCaprio's, even in passing, it sends shockwaves, because it shows just how close Hollywood's elite really were to all this. And that's the uncomfortable truth Terrence and Jamie are both hinting at. It's not just about one man's darkness. It's about an entire system of stars, handlers and hangers-on who might have seen too much, said too little, and sold too many pieces of themselves just to stay in the game. So let's talk about it. What was Leonardo DiCaprio doing in that world? And why hasn't anyone ever asked him straight up? It's the question nobody wants to touch. And what about Mick Jagger? Yeah, the rock legend himself. Reportedly seen partying with Diddy and Paris Hilton back in the day, living it up while, according to witnesses, the darker stuff was happening just a few feet away. Are we really supposed to pretend none of that happened? That these icons of music and film never once looked around and wondered what was really going on behind those closed doors? Because here's the harsh truth. While Diddy's sitting in a prison cell right now, the people who allegedly helped him, protected him, or just stayed quiet, they're still out there thriving like nothing ever happened. Usher's headlining sold-out residencies in Vegas. Leonardo's still Hollywood royalty, walking red carpets like his name was never mentioned in the same breath as Diddy's. Jay-Z and Beyonce, they're out here breaking the internet with new music, posing for Vogue covers, not answering a single question about why they were ever at those infamous white parties in the first place. It's like there's this unspoken rule in the industry. If you're famous enough, if you've got the right PR team, and if you've mastered the art of saying just enough to dodge the truth, you don't just get a pass, you get a standing ovation. The machine keeps spinning, the fans keep cheering, and the silence keeps paying. Meanwhile, look who's still paying the real price. The women who spoke up. They're still in court, still getting dragged across social media, still watching their careers stall, while the men who allegedly stood by, who saw what was happening and chose to stay quiet, keep collecting trophies and headlines. It's a cruel double standard. The powerful stay protected and the brave get punished. So yeah, when Jamie Foxx starts speaking out and dropping names, maybe that's exactly why so many people in Hollywood are nervous right now. Because for once, the spotlight's finally swinging toward the people who thought they were untouchable. And if that light stays on them long enough, we might start seeing the truth behind all that glitz. The truth that no award show or PR spin can hide anymore. But here's where it gets even darker. That Netflix documentary, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, was supposed to be the final word. The big expose that told the world everything. The moment when all the secrets finally spilled out and every hidden truth saw daylight. But guess what? It wasn't. Because the real story isn't just about Diddy, it's about the machine that protected him for decades. We're talking about the publicists who allegedly buried stories before they could blow up, the lawyers who made entire scandals disappear overnight, the handlers who whispered, "Don't ask, don't tell" into every conversation, and let's not forget the other celebrities, the ones who showed up to the wildest parties, partied hard in those VIP rooms, and then acted like they had no clue what was going on just a few feet away. The same faces smiling for the cameras while the real chaos played out behind the velvet ropes. And if Jamie Foxx is really about to name names in his Netflix special, if he's really gonna say, "You were there, you saw it, you let it happen," then this stops being just another celebrity scandal. This becomes an earthquake, the kind that doesn't just take down one man, it shatters the whole foundation. Because let's be honest, if even half of what he's saying turns out to be true, then every person who stayed quiet, every insider who helped keep the walls standing might be next in line to face questions they've dodged for years. So here's the question everyone's asking right now. What happens next? If Jamie's telling the truth, if Diddy really did try to silence him, if the FBI really is digging deeper behind the scenes, and if those names we've all been whispering for years are finally about to be spoken out loud, then what does Hollywood look like when the smoke clears? Do the men who stayed silent finally have to answer for it? Do the women who were allegedly hurt finally get the justice they've been waiting on for years? Because if this bomb actually drops the way insiders say it will, then The Reckoning won't just be a documentary title. It'll be Hollywood's reality. Or does Hollywood do what it always does? Tighten the circle, switch up the headlines, and act like none of this ever happened? Because let's be real, that's the industry's favorite trick. Bury the noise. Throw a new scandal in the spotlight and hope the world forgets before the weekend's over. But this time, it doesn't feel like the same playbook's gonna work. The next few weeks, they're about to be explosive. When that dam finally breaks, it's not just gonna crack, it's gonna shatter. And when the flood hits, a lot of people who thought they were safe are about to find themselves deep in the water. Secrets are rising to the surface, and everyone's watching to see who's still standing when the truth finally comes crashing down. So tell us, when it all comes out, who's gonna walk away clean? And who's gonna wish they'd spoken up sooner? Because one thing's for sure, this story's just getting started, and the next chapter could blow the lid off everything we thought we knew. Stay locked in, like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. You won't want to miss what's coming next, because the truth, it's about to hit hard.